just started that fund, and revenue is approximately $2 million a year. Project on these jobs is going to be quite large. So, yeah, funding will come for that. We're trying to set aside for the future, but it's a limited amount of money, especially now since it's basically, it's in its inception, it's the second year.
This particular Allen Street project and the Overlook are outside of the flush program. Are they standalone?
We are planning on spending money from the Clean Water Fund to fund the, whatever, the Clintock Overlook project comes in over the $2 million ARPA fund with fund balance to fully fund that project.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, I just for the record, make a record of this. I don't know of anybody give me a past instance of a transfer authorized and approved by the prior council, voted unanimously, and then it was not consummated, and it took a petition to identify where that money is, and I assume it is in the unfunded balance, Jonathan?
Yes, of the general fund, but if we had used that full amount, we would have been under our fund balance policy and would have had to declare a fiscal emergency.
Can you give me the unfunded? I think there's two types of unfunded balances right now.
One type of unfunded. There's assigned and unassigned. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
For that snapshot in '23, the assigned balance would have been 12.8 million and the unassigned 11.2 if we had included the Allen Street in it, but it would have dropped us to only 4.2%. 4.24% of our general fund expenditures.
And you need 5%.
We need 5 or more, otherwise we declare a fiscal emergency, and then we have to come up with a 5-year plan to replenish our fund balance.
Well, yeah, I think I've got you guys on this. Yeah, well, I think there's two issues here. One, resolutions are usually vetted and scrutinized before they are voted on, and nobody raised a red flag as to anything. It was just voted unanimously. I suspect that it might have something to do with placating a room full of people here who testified in September about public health issues, basement issues, personal financial costs, and everything that was going on with the dilapidated Allen Street project. And 30 days or so before, and also for the women who proposed it, to placate them that there was a step being taken in the right direction. And apparently it didn't happen, and I think it's really a transparency issue, and the due diligence wasn't done on the city side to vet the thing, to point out to the alderwoman it had to change or anything else. So we'll be hearing from her, but thank you for answering my petition, and I'll review what can be done as a council moving forward with any transfers that are needed, transfers or bonding or whatever. All right. That's all for now, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Alderman McNamara. Any other questions or discussion for Mr. Perugini? Alderman Russell.
I'm a little bit confused. I thought this was for information that was going to be sent to the council. Why are we questioning this at this point now?
But this is an item before the commission.
To be sent to the council, correct?
Correct. We're operating our fact-finding capacity as a committee.
Point of information or order to
Alderman
Alderman
McNamara.
Russell, if I might.
Recognized.
Were you on the council at the time?
I was on the council at the time.
And you
yes.
voted yes on this resolution?
I did vote yes on this.
To transfer $4 million?
Yes.
Thank you.
So again, any other questions or discussions for Mr. Perugini? Seeing none, thank you very much for your time. Any other discussion or persons who might wish to speak on the subject? Councilman McNamara?
Well, I think the maker of the resolution was former Alderwoman Luz Ortiz-Luna, who, if she cares to, can come up and talk about what transpired in her filing of that resolution, if you're comfortable doing that. And she, according to our rules, she's an expert speaker on the subject as the maker of the resolution.
Calling you up in the capacity as your maker of the resolution to provide facts on this item. The chair recognizes former councilwoman. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Doing well. Alderman McNamara, would you like to?
Hi, Luz, thanks for being here. I think you were responding to public participation and light being shed on the issue with the Allen Street project at the time. And when you did file the resolution, were you contacted by Corporation Counsel or anyone about any issues or changes that needed to be made, or the mayor's office?
I was not.
You're not, okay.
The chair recognizes Alderwoman Sanchez here at 6:14. Sorry about that. Thank you.
Okay, and it did sail through. I'm not sure there was any public discussion by the council on it or any questions raised at the time. Do you?
No questions. I don't think we even had discussion on it. Democrats and Republicans all voted yes on the resolution. Even after it was approved, I petitioned the mayor's office for proof, and I was given a stamp, but that was their proof that the transfer was done already.
Yeah, that's right.
Correct.
That's right, okay. All right, so I just think you can add anything else, but this seemed to be highly irregular that a unanimous vote of the council, transfer is signed and sealed, and nothing happened for 7 months. And we should send that on the council for the report of what Mr. Perugini gave us, and look to correct the situation if this ever occurs again.
Thank you, Alderman McNamara.
Through you, Chair.
Alderman Santiago?
How you doing?
Hi, good, how are you?
So when you presented the resolution and it got through, there was no indication, no warnings or anything of, hey, this is improper, this is not, we need a specific item lit on the budget, any of that. Just pretty much just sailed through, no problems. Mayor's office, everyone agreed on it, signed it. I have a problem is why is it that we have to, now they're saying that this is not a correct resolution. If it went through, did it get referred to anywhere, any committees, just straight right through?
Yes,
And so you assume, as everyone else, that there was $4 million now going to be allocated to this project, Allen Street project?
correct.
And now, question, how did you know about the funds? How did you know specifically that this is the money that you were going to use?
If I can remember right, there were some phone calls made by other elder persons on the council. I don't remember exactly who. My understanding was there was $24 million in the rainy day account, which that's what the mayor and the council always referred that account as by. They told me 5 was already, 5 million was used. I believe it was to start the homeschool project. So then that's why I only asked for 4 million, because we have to have a certain amount in that account. And the funds were available.
So then this is why you wrote the $4 million. How much was the project itself, Allen Street project, was needed to be done, for it to be?
If I can remember right, it was like 3.7 million needed, so that's why on the resolution I put not to exceed $4 million. Just because we have a deadline, we had to submit a resolution before Wednesday, that week, I believe.
Alderman
Point
McNamara?
of information, the capital improvement program lists now $6.7 million for that project, which is 10-year-old estimate, maybe, 6.7, but this was meant to be a contribution toward it. As we
Right.
know, in subsequent months, there's a new possibility of funding that has emerged through the state bonding in next year's legislature. And also, there's been a longstanding application gathering dust at FEMA that was supposed to be done that way. So the point is, the project will require a city share, a match, not as much as probably it's going to cost now, as Mr. Moriarty's informed us. So it was a down payment on this
Right.
project, yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Correct. That's exactly what my question was going to be asked. Was,
Alderman Santiago?
yeah, thank you. When you had reached out to the department head, correct, on what would it cost to get this project going, there was a certain amount already being allocated, correct?
Yeah, so if I can remember right, it was, they only needed 3.8 million. It was just to start it. It's not for the whole project. It was just to start it. So that's why my resolution, I just put do not exceed $4 million
So then,
to help fund just to start the project,
and this was in September, the resolution created was in September,
2023.
and it passed in October, correct? No, November. No, October. October,
Right
correct?
before election, yep.
Was it October? Yes.
9/27.
Oh, so September 27 was created. Okay, so now, all right, so you have 2 months prior to the council being changed over, and none, at that time, nothing was discussed or nothing was presented to say, hey, this resolution might have to go back, because you don't have an item number, you don't have a correct line item for this money. So you assume that the rainy day fund was the name or the item, correct?
Right,
So, and then again, obviously, we saw back in the back of it that the clerk and also the mayor has signed this. So, no one came up to you and said, hey, this is wrong.
nope, nobody.
So we all assumed when we came in that there was this funds gonna be sort of allocated towards that project. And even you, even though you didn't come back win, but you still was advocating for that money just because it was something that was important for the residents of that area, correct?
Right, and I even discussed it with my caucus at the time via text, and everyone said that they thought it was a great idea, and again, everyone voted yes on it, and it passed.
See, the problem is I have with this issue is that the reason why Acting Mayor put it out there was because, we're assuming there's $4 million. There's gonna be, a good start to the project, and then, no, there's no money there because it wasn't the proper procedure. But it went through a procedure,
Right.
right? It went through the council, voted unanimously, went to the clerk's office, stamped it. The mayor stamped it first, and then the clerk's office put it in record.
Plus committee,
So, I don't understand why it's.
almost a year later, right?
That it wasn't, okay, right. I mean, I'm sorry, because it said the rainy day fund. I think everyone in this council knows that funds is called the rainy day funds. There's never been a time where it's been itemized as item number, line number. So, I mean, I just feel that this was improperly done. Not for you in general, but I think that in general, the city hall or the city itself, the individual is wrong because you would have thought that they would have said, hey, stop, let's get this done right, let's put it the right way. Everything else they would tell us, right? They say, they complain about the resolutions that we put in or petitions that we put in. They're quick to correct those mistakes. But something like this, that is $4 million, you would have thought that this, especially $4 million, would have been corrected way before even your vote. Because again, obviously the resolution gets sent to all members of the council. The agenda gets sent to finance, to every person that has anything to deal with that resolution would be informed about it. And not one person came up to you and said, hey, this is wrong.
Right. And I still have Mr. Frank sending me emails about the $4 million, and to my understanding, the transfer was already done, and I thought it was already used towards the project, but I guess not.
Again, just
Alderman
one
McNamara.
more point of information. I don't want to crowd anybody else's time, but Seems to me, Mr. Perugini's issues in terms of the, may have validity, but the time to bring it up was last September, and not burying it. I think the reality of the situation is, last September, this project was not on the front burner of the city government, and it has become more of a priority. There's still a very long way to go. So I think the time to bring these issues that we got the answer in terms of, and Ms. Prokowski was helpful in providing me with additional information, but she did say that nobody consulted the corp counsel at the time, so that's, the procedure wasn't followed, clearly. And
Actually,
people
if
were
I could-
given the wrong impression. Thank you.
Thank
If I
you.
could just clarify,
Corp counsel can respond then, Alderwoman Scott.
what I said was that the authors of the resolution did not consult Corporation Counsel at the time, because that was the question that I believed you were asking. So the authors of the resolution never contacted Corporation Counsel. That's what I specifically said.
Thank you very much for that clarification. I will, Alderwoman Scott?
I just want to thank former Alderwoman for coming out tonight. Thank you so much, and thank you for all of the work that you did on this resolution, because we definitely need this to be fixed, and we really appreciate your time and everything that you did. I just think it's really sad that this was done right before the end of a term, and information seems to have not, or it did not get processed correctly, and yet again, we're failing the people of New Britain, who I am here to serve, are being failed by this. Frank is emailing all of us, and he's doing a wonderful job too, keeping this in the limelight, because this is a housing issue. People's houses are at risk because of the flooding. We are in a crisis, and it's just really sad to me that this is happening, that we don't know, this did not go through like it was supposed to. And again, like ironically, this is another transparency issue. Why is it that we just get on these seats now, and now we don't know why this money has not been put through like it was supposed to? Like, you did all this work, and I just don't have any words for like the sadness that I have towards this. So thank you so much for coming.
Alderwoman Barbosa.
So if this money didn't get pushed through, where is the money sitting at now?
I would possibly invite Mr. Perugini back up to answer that question.
It's in the general fund.
Under what line item?
It's not in a budget, it's not in a line item.
So it's part of the complete general fund. An
Yeah.
additional $4 million?
What was that?
An additional $4 million?
No, not an additional 4 million. We were trying to repurpose 4 million for it.
Could you add a little clarification? So this wasn't additional revenue to the city, you were repurposing existing revenue at the time?
No, it's not revenue. So fund balance is not revenue. Revenue and expenses are on the income statement of our financials. On the balance sheet are assets, liabilities, and owner's equity. Owner's equity is what fund balance is. There's, under fund balance, there's assigned fund balance is what we designate for a specific purpose. So if we were using fund balance for tax stabilization fund or for a Board of Ed, something special, 500,000 for paraeducators, 2 million for New Britain High ADA compliance, setting aside money for non-operating in a future budget. So those were some of the stuff that was assigned. The rainy day, when you guys are referring to the rainy day, that's only unassigned fund balance, not the full fund balance of 24. 24 is one big dollar amount. You can't assign all of that. Stuff's been assigned, so that's part of the issue is Just because you see a big dollar amount doesn't mean all of it can be used. A lot of time, prior resolutions have specific purposes to be assigned for a future budget, and that's what the assigned is.
Alderwoman Barbosa? Mike, thank you.
So the $4 million was used and placed elsewhere?
The 4 million was not used. What happens is if we were to shift it from unassigned to assigned, that would drop our fund balance policy to where it was below 5%, and we'd have to declare a fiscal emergency.
So that $4 million is in the 2024-25 budget?
No.
Just,
Point
point of,
Hang on, hang on.
I'm sorry, point of.
Point of information.
Yeah. I think what,
Alderman McNamara.
to help Mr. Perugini out, the 5% or greater, the more you have, the better in some instances. However, I think in the current budget, it's probably about $12 million, 269, or the new budget, 260. I think 5% would be.
Oh, the 5%, okay. Yeah, it's based on the snapshot, and if we had used any of the assigned balance as well, and what gets rolled over.
And there's also a line item, a contingency line
Yeah,
item. There was a
is.
couple of $1 million this year, I think.
I think it's only like 1.4 or 1.3. In the past, it was bigger. Usually unsettled contracts take up that unsettled.
Union contract.
Yeah, union contracts.
Thank you, Alderman McNamara. Alderman Simpson?
Thank you. So I have a couple questions, but there does seem to be a little confusion as to what the difference is between a general fund and the budget. Could you just outline the difference for that, between those two here?
Sure. Budget in general, like the annual budgets, you have more than just the general fund. There's other books in there. There's special revenue funds, which are the Stanley Golf Course, Cemetery, Fairview Dog Pound, internal service funds, which are also in that special revenue book, and then there's enterprise funds. And so special revenue are ones for a specific purpose, where you're trying to get fees to come in to offset. The internal service are more like workers' comp and medical insurance, and the last one, enterprise, are supposed to be self-sufficient funds, to where the fees cover the actual, that you're billing it like a utilities, you're billing it like a business. So all of those have annual budgets. General fund is just one of, that's the one that everyone knows of for the budget.
Yep.
And so with this item, the 4 million, it's not on the normal budget that comes before the council. It's the residual cumulative effect of all the budgets before, as well as backing out stuff that was assigned for one-time purposes.
Thank you. So the 4 million that was allocated for the Allen Street project, the city still has that?
Yes.
And it's sitting in our general fund, but we are unable to use it because if we were to spend it on Allen Street, it would cause a financial crisis for the city.
Yes, a fiscal crisis.
So the Allen Street project, and I might use a little aggressive wording here, but essentially is being held hostage by the notion that we may be in a fiscal crisis if we spend the money to.
Well, the other part on this is it should really be coming out of sewer or clean water fund, because if it's sanitary sanitary drains should be sewer, stormwater drains should be clean water. You could also look at the avenue of bonding, because if this is a big project, do you really want to pay for something out of current money, or do you want to spread it over the useful life of the project? And usually that makes it more palatable to where you can spread it and you can do big important projects just over, you can get the funding immediately, but you spread the cost over the user base over X number of years, the useful life of the project.
Would that not extend the life of that project then? No?
Would what, the 4 million?
If we're spreading out the cost, does that impact and this, I don't know if this is a question for somebody else could answer.
No, I can.
If we're spreading out the cost, would that elongate the total timeline it would take to complete the project?
No, usually when you're doing capital projects, you do architect and engineer for like a year, iron out the project, and then the next year or two you build it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Simpson. Any further questions? Alderman Gibson?
Yes, I just want to be clear. I know it was stated that we all was under the assumption. I was never under no assumption. As I am new to the council, I am gaining more information so I could process this and then understand as these questions are coming. So I was in no way on any assumptions of which way this money was allocated, reallocated, or whatever. So I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Alderman Pavone.
Yes, I remember the $4 million. And after the meeting, they said we couldn't do nothing unless we had the rest of the money to do the whole project. So after that, I don't know what happened after that. Because what will $4 million cover? The design work or, and what would happen after that if we don't have the rest of the money? I think the state was supposed to give some money or something, but I don't know whatever happened to it. So that's my take on it.
Thank you, Alderman. Simpson?
Can Mr. Perugini verify Alderman Pabone's statement?
Which part?
No, fair question. No, just the notion that the city got the $4 million, but that it was partial funding for the project and we couldn't use it unless we had the full funding for it.
Oh, I can't verify that, but I know they were working on trying to get state funding as well, and I believe his comment is more, you want to know the full cost of everything before you start it, and if you only put small amount and it's not enough to cover it, what are you going to do if you don't, I think that's what.
Essentially, yeah.
Alderwoman Barbosa?
Well, my thing is, looking at our budget, we have money tied up that's not being used, but it's being allocated. Why couldn't they create a special fund for the Allen Street until they received all the funding for it?
You wouldn't create a special fund, if anything, if you do bonding or you set it aside for there's other funds that are already created for different purposes on it. Bigger, longer projects don't go before the council, like your annual budget, you wouldn't put it in the sewer or the clean water one, because that's an annual budget. We have inception to date funds, like if you go out and bond for it, that go past a fiscal year, so you can track it with the full dollar amount of it, grants, everything else with it. You wouldn't create a separate fund for it, because then we'd have thousands of funds every time we had a capital project. So you usually just do one fund.
I just reiterate, I'm pointing out that there was a breakdown in the process here when that was passed unanimously. Obviously, bonding, ARPA money, $2 million for Overlook from ARPA, $13 million for, that kind of money is what's needed for major infrastructure projects like that. This wasn't a priority last September. It's more of a priority now, but we don't have that money. So that's why people should not have been misled by not following process. That's the point of this discussion, so we can all be informed about it and move on and work together to get state bonding, other funding, to get this done as expeditiously as possible.
Thank you, Alderman McNamara. Alderman Santiago?
Mr. Chair, through you, may I have Mrs. Luz Ortiz come back up? Thank you, Jonathan. Through you, Mr. Chair. Again, let's go back again. When you inquired about the $4 million, prior to that $4 million, you were told that the project itself was going to cost how much? It's about six.
I don't remember the exact, all I know is that,
You needed the $4 million to kind of fit.
about $4 million just to start it up, right?
Just to start it.
Because they said the plans were old and then those needed to be updated.
Okay, so then, so you and the older woman, the three women, the three writers decided, let's put this in, and just to kind of help kickstart this project. And no time, any time in that time, they said, hey, that's another question I was gonna, hey, you can use this sewer funds or this clean water funds. At that time, do you know how much money was in that funds when you had inquired about, you put the resolution in?
19. They told me only 5 million was already accounted for.
No, I'm sorry, not rainy day funds. I'm talking about the one that they're asked, they said that you should have used instead of the rainy days funds.
No.
It was the sewer funds and the clean water funds. Do you know anything about that? Or do you know
I
anything?
didn't know how much money was in
Went in
there.
there? Nobody had offered to say, hey, by the way, you could use this money
No.
first?
No.
If I could just read a point of order, I mean, I think we've asked that several times already.
No, I didn't ask about the sewer to her personally about that.
No, I understand the sewer, but asking her if anyone mentioned anything, I think that's been asked a couple times already
Well,
tonight.
I'm breaking down
Just as a
actually-
point of order.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What I'm breaking down.
We'll keep it direct. Here we go.
Yep.
Thank you.
I'm asking is because, again, obviously, there was other avenues that wasn't mentioned. So then you decided to put this on.
Correct.
All right, thank you. Judge,
Thank you, Alderman Santiago.
thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Chair.
Any other discussion? Alderwoman Scott.
I think going back to what Alderman McNamara was just saying, that people were misled, and I think that we just need to work on not allowing people to be misled again. To me, this is really scary that you put this resolution in, you were told something, and then it just did not happen. So I hope that people are hearing that this is what happened, that it was told that it was going to happen, and then it just did not happen, basically, right? Is that a true statement?
Well, when I asked for proof, I was given proof, which was a stamp, so my understanding was it did happen.
Oh, you were actually told it actually happened.
Well, I got
Right.
proof, right.
Right, okay. So, yeah, I just want to make sure that people understand the significance of what we're talking about today. So, thank you so much again for coming.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Alderwoman Scott.
So I just
Another
want
one
to make
from
a
Alderwoman
comment.
Barbosa.
This was all done during an election year? This approval?
Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry, thank you. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Alderman McNamara.
if there's no other, I mean, I appreciate the information finally forthcoming, and I think this has clarified the situation, and I would just ask, move this with a neutral recommendation if nobody else has anything to say.
I think it's already been seconded, just giving a pause for the, nobody has anything else to say part to sink in, but that seems to be the case here. So we have a motion to refer with a neutral recommendation made by Alderman McNamara, seconded by Alderman Santiago. And seeing no further discussion, the motion to refer, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you all for coming and providing information. Next item on the agenda is item number 36304, to amend the Code of Ordinances to provide exceptions for faulty equipment regarding water meter readings. May I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Alderman Simpson?
I'd like to make a motion to refer this back to the council with a neutral recommendation.
Second?
I have a motion to refer with a neutral recommendation made by Alderman Simpson, seconded by Alderman Santiago. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Alderman Simpson?
I do have a follow-up. I would like to make a motion to table this item because the wording, I've been informed by Corporation Counsel, goes against the charter, so I'd like to see if we can figure out collectively, either here as a body or somewhere else, to come up with language that does fit. The intention behind this is to improve the manageability of our residents' water bills. And I have seen residents accumulate $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 water bills. And to me, that says we could be doing a better job of notifying homeowners of these massive increases of usage, right? And these are often caused by just simple home water leaks. And as a preventative measure, I think we could do a good job of notifying homeowners when those increases happen. It would prevent wasting water, it would lower people's bills, and it would help keep folks in their homes, because if you get a water bill in the thousands of dollars, that's not manageable. You are at risk of losing your home in the city of New Britain. So with that, I'd like to move to table this for further
I have a
discussion.
motion to table from Alderman Simpson. Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Alderman Santiago. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn from Alderman Santiago, seconded by Alderman Russell. Unanimous consent to that one, and the time is 6:43 PM. Thank you all.